Pull! 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 Come on! Oh, it's so hot. That's better. I'll leave it. Oh, it's hot. Right, what's happened in the last 3 seasons of Blaseball? Well, you heard it here first. Everything is fine now. Season 20 of Blaseball began with management creating a solution for the internal conflict we reported on in the last roundup, where turntables installed throughout the league were causing wins to become negative unwins. At staggering cost, a new sun has been forged and set in the heavens. Known as Sun, this second power squares wins, causing negative unwins to become positive the real question is, how did management afford this? Well, as far as we can tell. But putting those absolutely massive fears to one side, the readers' efforts to reduce runs and wins and league-wide Edensity could still be felt in Season 20. Underhanded pitchers on teams across the league are now causing home runs to score negative unruns. Players have also been made negative and are now understood to have negative gravitational mass. At one point, the number of birds in the core mechanics' ballpark reached negative 89, suggesting either the possibility of a state of bird debt or the existence of unbirds. But by far the reader's biggest impact on Blaseball has been the creation of the new Underbracket. Just as the top teams have always duked it out in a knockout tournament to become that season's champion, starting in Season 20, we now have a concurrent knockout tournament where the worst teams sort of limply wrestle one another and advance if they lose, and the team that keeps losing becomes the under champion. So now every season of Blaseball has 2 champions. I'm very uncertain about this. If I wanted to watch the worst people perform tasks with little to no competence, I'd watch our interns try and operate our fax machine. Buy a season ticket for the Seattle garages. One of the few winners of this development has been Blaseball statisticians, as this creates a whole new category of superstar, what I'm calling the Understar, or if you prefer, super twerp. Such as player Axel Cardenas, a pitcher so awful they brought the Mexico City Wild Wings to the first ever Underbracket finals literally single-handedly, although the Wings didn't go on to win. To lose. Whatever. Can we have the underboard, please? Okay. Good Lord. Your inaugural Underbracket champions were the San Francisco Lovers, who were defeated by the Mexico City Wild Wings to achieve a quote-unquote victory. Your winners of the Overbracket in Season 20 were the Core Mechanics, who once again produced another victory from their toolbox. Wasn't there another pitcher here? Speaking of crimes, after 8 seasons of ILB franchises failing to put sanctioned league investigators Uncle Plasma and Liquid Friend on the same team so they might hopefully find out anything about the disappearances troubling the league, in Season 21 of Blaseball, management declared the investigation complete and logged them in the vault that protects Blaseball's most legendary players and objects. But ironically, this allowed team franchises to acquire replicas of Uncle Plasma and Liquid Friend, and it turns out that these blunt force objects are indeed stronger together and proceeded to start beating up consumers with absolutely sick wrestling moves off the top rope. Let's get ready to rumble! Okay, legal says we can't say that, but in discovering that we were perhaps never going to learn anything useful from these two, in Season 21, fans took the investigation into their own hands. They rushed Blaseball's library en masse to unredact the game's ancient histories. And what did they find out? I actually don't know. My crew here has been very insistent that I don't find out what's under this cardboard until the very end of the roundup, presumably to capture my reaction live. So Don't touch that dial, everybody. I'm sure this is going to be absolutely terrific news. Other news in Season 21 related to an item known as the fifth base. A powerful artifact of unknown provenance that was gifted to Jesus Koch of the Moist Talkers in the Season 19 election. The fifth base has an outrageous power. A player holding the fifth base may, during a game, place it outside of the traditional baseball diamond as a fixture, immediately getting on fifth base themselves and forever making it harder to score in that ballpark. However, it seems that the fifth base has two other traits. Any player who feels its call might pick it up again, and anyone who's holding it will begin traveling between different teams on something resembling a vision quest. How all of this shook out was something like The Lord of the Rings, except set to pop music song Yakety Sax. Jesus first placed the fifth base in the stadium of the Philly Pies, aka the Oven, where it became a seemingly permanent and utterly loathed installation. Visiting Charleston shoe thief Richardson Games then picked up the fifth base from the Oven, to the delight of Philly fans, only for them in the same game to put it back down again, leading Blaseball fans the world over to declare that perhaps it wasn't done yet. Beloved Philly Pies hitter Ruslan Greatless then picked up the fifth base. The Philly fans coordinated to spend a stunning 850,000 votes to return him to the team should he leave, only for him to put the fifth base back on the floor again. The base was then picked up by Pies hitter Huber Frumpel, who tottered off to join the Mexico City Wild Wings and then placed the fifth base in the ballpark of the Atlantis Georges during an away game. It then went to the stadium of the Tokyo Lift, then the Dallas Stakes, before finally pitcher Baldwin Breadwinner descended into the tunnels below the steakhouse to steal the fifth base from teammate Jason Buckley, like a kind of Bilbo Breadwinner from an athletic and distracted Gollum. However, since Breadwinner is a pitcher and not a batter, it seems impossible that they will ever put the fifth base back down again, and so will now just wander forever sparing batters the indignity of having to run around 5 bases. Season 21 also saw some exciting item plays when 4 teams simultaneously received an object called the Clutch Wooden Rock Ring from the gift shop's bargain bin. Let's be clear here, these players did not receive 4 copies of the same ring. They received the same ring and took it back to 4 different ballparks, leaving the ring in a quantum superposition where if it was damaged or repaired by any of its owners, all 4 copies would be damaged or repaired. To the delight of theoretical physicists everywhere, as Blaseball players tried to steal the ring, for example during a game in Dallas, they might find themselves stealing from a player in Tokyo. Your finals for Season 21 was a nostalgic rematch of Season 8, with the Baltimore Crabs and the Hades Tigers once again duking it out in a Darwinian survival of the fittest. Except if we continue this analogy, you'd have to imagine a tiger that evolved on the Galapagos with no natural predators. The Season 21 Hades Tigers are somewhat hollowed out, and the Crabs basically ate them. But of course, we had another champion for Season 21. Allow me to take the loser elevator. Your Season 21 under-champions were the Hellmouth Sunbeams, who lost in a final against the Canada Moist Talkers. And this was one for the history books because both teams were wild cards drafted into the Underbracket at random. The Hellmouth Sunbeams actually only missed out on the Overbracket by a tiebreaker. They just then proceeded to choke harder than a snake trying to swallow a basketball. So, congratulations. Honestly, Beams fans, I owe you an apology because I said your championship in Season 11 was pointless because it was played under a roiling sky of Sun 2 and black holes. Well, the Blaseball Roundup has since gained a different perspective on what our heavens can look like. Today, the skies above Blaseball are simply so much more full of stars. We already had Sun 2, now we have some sun. Then there was Sun 30.
Sun 30.
Sun point 1, some sun, equal sun,
equal sun,
and maximum sun.
maximum
It seems if the reader is dedicated to reducing league-wide Edensity by producing buoyant unwins and unruns, then it seems their opposition in management is dedicated to celebrating the prowess of our 24 team franchises by covering them in glory and giving them new ways to win. Yes, all of these wins and runs are still forcing teams downwards towards consumer hunting grounds, but what a way to go! Don't worry, I'll explain. In seasons 20, 21, and 22, fans were simply given the choice of which additional multiplicative suns they would like to see in the sky. For example, Sun Point 1 causes each run to be scored by a team to be worth an extra 0.1 runs per inning that has taken place in the match. Now, I know what you're thinking. On a scientific level, how do any of these suns affect Blaseball? Well, lucky for you that I was sent some instructions and explanations straight from the manufacturers. Now, these documents, if any of the eggheads are... We have another of those, right? No? Okay, that's fine because I can demonstrate myself with just a bit of extra room on the blackboard. You know what? Here's the headline. Sun arrived with a pressure gauge which is filling as the ILB experiences additional solar activity, from which we can infer that it can perhaps have too much pressure, and then perhaps there could be some kind of event. Now, we don't know what this event could be, and I don't know why some people we have here in the studio are worried. It's not like management is going to let her own celebratory streak endanger any of us. After all, this is the same manager who chose to put some of our most beloved players in the vault so that no harm could come to them. Your champions for season 21, season 22, were regrettably the Breath Mints. But personally, I feel like the champion for season 22 was Breath Mints pitcher Winnie Hess, and then the rest of their team and also the Tokyo Lift were just sort of there. And with that, we're at the end of the roundup, which means that your under champions for season 22 were the Miami Darlings. Why do you even put a crown on a boat? So now it's actually the end of the roundup, which means it's time for me and you to find out what the fans discovered when they were unredacting all those documents in the library. And I think I know what this is. I think that those fans discovered what the legendary Blagon Balls are for. That's my bet. Let's see if I'm right. First, a correction. We read a letter from a Miami Darlings fan in the last roundup that we misattributed to the name Forrest. Their name is, in fact, Ashland. I'm sorry, there's a lot of power in names. We got this letter from the Chicago firefighters. To the anchor, as I'm sure you're aware, the ILB lost one of its most beloved stars over the last season. Gooby Ballson, the friend-shaped world touring player, was tragically incinerated. I just want to clear the air. Just because Gooby's pre-game ritual was, quote, washing the blood off, doesn't mean that he actually committed any crimes. Gooby Ballson was friend to all and assuredly innocent of the incinerations of players Jose Haley, Carmelo Plums, Nick Nyong'o, and Gerard Parantheoside. Yeah, not to speak ill of the dead, but if you find yourself writing a letter to clear the air that someone did not, in fact, commit 4 homicides, then I'm just gonna go ahead and say, regardless of whether you did or not, you're probably bad news. I've got a couple of letters from Canada Moist Talkers fans. James wants to thank me for my work by sending me a complimentary jar of phlegm. Moist Talkers, I can't be any clearer than this. This is why nobody likes you. Another Moist Talkers fan writes in, it was deeply unsettling to be labelled as instantly unlikable during your broadcast. As a sign of good faith and a prompt for you to reconsider your previous remarks, please accept this custom portrait of you in the traditional Moist Talker style, minionism. Ow, that's just not cool. Although what is cool is the picture that Ohio Worm sent in of me as a worm. That really cheered me up. Oh, also not okay. Not one, but two San Francisco Lovers fans sent in letters that were rather, you know, forward and mentioned seeing me in a Blockbuster video, which I don't even remember. But why would? I mean, it's not that I have anything that's against the of. If you wanted to send me that, it's okay. I'm not a, you know, but just send it to my personal email account, please, next time. This is from the Yellowstone Magic. Thank you for liking our tweets bullying the Philly Pies. Yeah, that's a pleasure and a privilege, Magic fans. Up next, we've got we've got a marvelously illiterate email from the Hellmouth Sunbeams that was written by a group right after they won the season 21 Underbracket. The subject line just reads, Pespy. Now, is that our window? We've just received some more fan mail. This is a free weight with a DVD attached via a rubber band. So this is from the Seattle Garages. Can you put that on, please? Yeah, thank you.
Dear Mr. the Anchor, we, the Seattle Garages, the community representatives, cannot help but notice that you, A, have a single noun moniker, and B, are in contact with interdimensional entities hereafter referred to as gods in a way that is not exhibited in any non-god beings. Therefore, we would like to inform you that you have been placed on an unofficial...
I've had it. I'm done with this. They know something's up. I know something's up. I'm not going to sit here and pretend anymore.
I'd also like to remind you that when we say kill all gods, we mean all gods. In the event that you are not a god, we would like to extend our deepest condolences on your inevitable, untimely demise at their hands. Should you want a plan B, we offer a spot on our pitching rotation for when you fax out. You should have a nice, long, and leisurely rest in our shadows. Best wishes, Unrep Not Maha.